Steven, did you see this last week? CNBC came out with a news article. I actually got like a notification on my phone or watch about it and clicked on it that University of Montana in Missoula is ranked as the #1 most fun city for young people.
Absolutely. Makes sense to me. I did not see that.
Did you see it?
No.
Like all over the news. I saw people sharing it and being like, this is ridiculous. It's not true. This isn't what Missoula is. And I saw people be like, look at us. This is us. It's so true. We're the best. We're Missoula.
I agree.
But everything in the article, everything came back to one theme. Community, the sense of community in Missoula. And I think we see a lot of that on this podcast, just out and about. Did you go to the homecoming parade?
I did.
This weekend?
Yeah, it was wet, cold.
Wet, freezing.
Yes.
Community. Like
yeah.
The number of people, I don't know where you were for the parade, but where I mean, it was just packed. The streets were lined with people that just love this community and thought it was really cool.
Yeah, we have such an awesome city that loves to be in groups together.
Yeah.
Love to celebrate together. And just for our audience who knows this, to remind you of our purpose of this podcast, it's to tell stories, to connect our city, and to just highlight awesome people that love the thing that we love, which is Missoula.
And that's what I love about today's episode.
Yeah.
Today's guest is all about community and the impact she is making in the lives of young women that struggle with addiction, suicide, teen pregnancies, just on and on. And we had the honor of visiting with Jamie Rindal from Teen Challenge here in Missoula.
She's passionate.
She's amazing.
Yes.
Let's just dive in. Here's Jamie from Missoula Teen Challenge.
Jamie, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, you bet. What brought you to Missoula initially?
College, initially. I am originally from Sealy Lake and graduated high school. Go Blackhawks.
Sealy.
Brandon.
I played a lot of basketball against Sealy in the day.
And I moved here to go to the University of Montana.
What'd you study?
Elementary education. We have a BA in elementary education.
Did you use that degree? Did you teach?
I did.
Really?
I did teach.
What school?
Surprise, surprise. I worked at Bonner Elementary and Target Range, actually.
How many years did you do that?
Not very many. It turns out it's really hard to get a full-time teaching position here in Missoula. And at the time, it was 2009 is when I graduated college. And I never got my own classroom. I did like some full-time subbing and some stuff around there, and then did para. And then I actually ended up switching over into the counseling side of things. And so I worked with CSCT in Target Range School and did that and had plans to continue to try and get my own classroom.
Yeah.
And then my sister died. And so I stopped teaching.
Wow, that story just took a hard turn.
Well, that's what happened.
We shouldn't be laughing about that.
But it is. It's like totally my life. Like I thought I'd be a teacher forever. I was going to get my master's in counseling and I was going to become a counselor in schools, and withdrew my application for grad school and actually stopped teaching.
So what did your sister die from?
Yeah.
I don't know how to say that question.
Totally fine. Casey was addicted to opiates. And so she struggled from about 14 on. She passed away when she was 32. And she went to treatment for 30 days here in Missoula when Providence used to have a treatment center. And after 30 days, got out, and they had put her on Suboxone, which is a medication that they give to people to not crave. And that becomes addicting, actually. It's just another stimulant. And so then she got put on methadone. They used to have a methadone clinic here in Missoula. And she left the methadone clinic and fell asleep at the wheel and got in a head-on collision and passed away. Yeah, that'll be almost 13 years now. Coming up. Yeah.
So that tragic accident obviously changed the trajectory of your life.
Fully changed
forever.
it. Yes, 100%. I stopped teaching, thought maybe I'd go back. I really wasn't in the mindset to work with the youth that I was working with. And which is the really troubled, broken children, which is where my heart is to work in that. But I just couldn't do it. I was just in this really crazy time. To back up just a little bit, I'd gone through a divorce. my mom got sentenced for a felony DUI. And so she was gone. And then my sister died. And so and then I found out I was pregnant. So within like 9 months, my life just kind of flipped on end. And so I stopped teaching. And then after Harper was born, I actually got into insurance.
A great fallback, insurance.
Yes.
Just when your life can't get any worse,
Jump
you
into
go
insurance. Yeah.
Wait, you have a daughter named Harper?
I have it. Yes. I have a daughter named Harper.
We have 3 Harpers.
We have
right
3
here at this
Harpers.
table.
Yes.
That is crazy.
Yes.
Apparently,
And all relatively close in age.
yeah,
right?
Mine's 9.
Harper is 11.
Yours is 11, and my Harper turns 11 in just a couple weeks.
What are their middle names?
Joy.
Ray.
Jean.
Crazy.
Wow, look at that.
Wait. And is your Harper into cheer? Not yet.
Not yet.
You'll get there. You'll be a cheer dad.
Oh,
Wow.
be careful.
You'll be a
Okay,
cheer
that's
dad.
a
It's
slippery
coming.
slope.
Yeah.
We could do a whole episode.
Sorry,
we
I
could do a whole
cheer. I'm a
episode on
cheer
elite
dad.
cheerleading. Who does she cheer for?
Summit.
Oh,
Yeah, the competition.
yeah.
It's kind of like the Valley
Crosstown
Sealy
rival.
thing.
It totally is.
Your Galaxy.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Galaxy and Summit. So it's
Shout out to Galaxy
things
and
are getting
Summit.
heated up.
Yeah.
but
Sorry, I got bogged down by that. I just didn't remember that your daughter's name is Harper. I was like,
Yes.
that's a coincidence.
Yes, we're all Harpers.
So in that time frame where you're obviously going through
A lot.
a lot,
Yes.
you're grieving, you can't even think about working with kids, I'm guessing.
No.
Which, how do you then, well, that's, everybody falls back on insurance.
I actually didn't fall back on it though. My sister didn't have any life insurance and my niece was almost 7 when Casey passed away. And I watched from that side of things about how hard that can be. So my dad and my stepmom took in my niece and my dad ultimately ended up selling his business and retiring way too young
Sure.
because we now have a child to take care of. And so I really became highly passionate about, I don't care if you even have $50,000, you need to have life
You need
insurance.
something.
You need
yeah.
something. And so I became just over the top about it. And
So is that how you ended up meeting Cam?
that's how Cameron and I
husband.
met. Yeah,
That's
my
through
husband and I
insurance.
met through insurance.
Okay.
I was a Guardian Insurance, life insurance agent, and Cameron was New York Life. And then we met and New York Life is like diehard New York Life. And I
Yeah.
couldn't understand it. And then I started to get around the culture and
Mm.
I became a New York Life agent. And so we had our business together.
So did you become a New York Life agent because of the business opportunity or because you wanted to get to know Cam, who happened to work at New York Life?
No, I actually went to New York Life because of the training. Nice try.
Okay.
I went to New York Life because of the training opportunity that they had for new
Mhm.
agents. And I actually entered into New York Life as an experienced agent because I had done enough
Sure.
business with Guardian. And so I really just got springboarded in and they really, it is a family, but it's also very focused on helping agents grow. And so
Yeah.
I felt you are a little familiar with it. So I felt
Yeah,
really comfortable there, but then
totally.
really realized that, as Cameron and I got married, that we were kind of competing businesses. And so after we had Leif, which is our son, I stopped New York Life.
Did you feel like being able to help families get life insurance set up fueled you in a way? I mean, like, I know you were very passionate. You were probably pretty good at it because it was, so
good at it.
personal to you.
Yes, I was good at it because, there for the longest time, I had a really hard time. I felt like I was profiting off of my sister's story. But the truth is we all have a story and you have a why for what you're doing. And my why was the loss of Casey and the hardship that put on my family. And so anybody that would listen, which is similar to today, I'm going to speak about it.
So you're in insurance. Obviously, you're not there today. What was that transition? You came out of insurance into
Being a mom.
Okay.
Yeah. So Leif, everything was great. And then I got preeclampsia and ended up having Leif at 34 weeks. And I got HELP syndrome, which is, I can't tell you what it all means, but it's really dangerous for moms. And so I ended up getting really sick and Leif was really small, 4 pounds, 3 ounces. And so
Whoa.
we just decided that I'd stay home. And so I stayed home with the kids and that turned into some pretty crazy postpartum depression, which I didn't know. People don't talk about it enough, but I'd always worked and I'd always been involved in something. And,
Sure.
I was looking for something bigger than myself. And so I just stayed home with the kids up until just a couple years ago, actually.
So what are you doing now?
Yeah. So a couple of years ago, I got called to be a part of a group like a class on, it's called Living Waters, and it's about sexual healing. And God revealed some things through that class that had happened to me as a kid that I knew had happened, but I wasn't really quite sure. But through that, he had spoke very candidly to me that it was time to go back to school. And I didn't really know what that meant. And so I just prayed into it, and it was go back to grad school, finish what you were going to do, which was do therapy. So I applied to Walla Walla School of Social Work and got accepted and started my master's program online because COVID was still kind of a thing and we weren't meeting in person. So it was all via Microsoft Teams, I think is what we were doing. And we did everything through that. And then in that, you have to do an internship or a practicum. And I had applied to the DUI road court at the courthouse and just really didn't feel like that was going to be the place for me.
What is DUI road court?
Yeah. So if you get so many DUIs and you get in trouble, instead of going to like the watch program or going to jail, you can opt to go to road court, which is really stringent. And you have to do all of these things, and you go to the courthouse and you get U8 and all of these things. And I was going to kind of be helping with that. But my thing is, I know what heals addiction, and it is Jesus. And I was not allowed to speak of that. So I didn't get hired for that. And thank God. And so I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. And Pastor Jason, actually with River of Life, called, and he was like, hey, there's a new director for Adult and Teen Challenge in Missoula. I think you should reach out to him and see if maybe you could do your internship for that. We were talking at church one day, and I was like, all right, I'll see what, comes of it. And so I reached out, and they said, yeah, we could actually use an intern in our counseling department. So I started as an intern there in the counseling department, and quickly became the addiction counselor's intern, and then the therapist intern, and worked with the women hands-on. And then about a month into that, the director at the time came to my office and she said, hey, I just wanted to let you know, I just put in my resignation. She'd been diagnosed with some health stuff, and she just wasn't doing very good. And at that time, God said, this is what I've been prepping you for.
Whoa.
And I literally was standing in my office, and I was like, I don't know who you're talking to, but it's not me. And I kind of walked with that a little bit, and he just was very persistent about it. And so Cameron and I talked a little bit about it, and we were like, yeah, that'd be like kind of a perfect job for me. But really, I'm in grad school. We've got 2 kids. Harper's in cheerleading. Cam owns a business. Like all these things, we just basically allowed the enemy to take the pen and run with it. And last May, we were getting ready to go to what's called Spiritual Emphasis. And it's where all students, which is our residents of our programs in the Pacific Northwest of Adult and Teen Challenge, come together for a weekend, and you worship and you fellowship and you do all this stuff. And a friend of mine called, and he was like, hey, I happened to talk to the COO of Adult and Teen Challenge about something, and your name came up. And I was like, why are you talking to the COO to begin with? And long story short, he said, we're looking for somebody to run the women's campus. Do you know anybody? And they said, yeah, we do, but she already works for you. So I went back to prayer, and then things started popping up like, hey, you'd be a great director. You're really doing director things. You're kind of leading in a way. We got to Spiritual Emphasis, and I was kind of arguing with God. And I said, if this is what you want me to do, like if you want me to have this conversation, you have to make it so clear, because I am deaf and blind to what you're doing here. Like I am not seeing it at all. I can feel it, but I'm like ignoring everything about it. And at that moment, Brian Nelson, the COO of Adult and Teen Challenge Pacific Northwest, literally walks out of the building into my path. And I was like, quicker than I had expected, but okay, let's do this. So we had a conversation, and he said, I've been waiting for you to hear from the Lord. Your name has come up several times for this position. Let's talk about it. I talked to my current boss, and she was like, you don't have to say anything. God told me on the way here that you're supposed to be the director of Missoula. Snowballed from there, got home. Cameron and I prayed about it. We talked about it, and he was like, let's just do the interview and see what happens. Long story short, June 8th of last year, I became the director of Missoula Adult and Teen Challenge.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I think it's so cool that you are now using that degree in counseling that you thought was going to be one thing, 15 years ago?
Yeah.
And now, after what you've walked through with your sister, divorce, your own life, preeclampsia,
all
stepping out of business, how you are now back into what you
I'm in
were
it.
created to do.
I'm in it. And
That's
I can
awesome.
see like all the different things that have lined up to get me to where I'm at today. And just really trying to better Missoula.
Yeah.
And Montana and anybody that wants to hear about it.
Well, help I know obviously we know a little bit about Teen Challenge, but for our listeners out there, tell us what the goal of Teen Challenge is, or what do you guys, adult and Teen Challenge?
Yeah.
What are you guys trying to do? What's the vision? What's the mission? What are the challenges?
Yeah. Well, Adult and Teen Challenge was started in 1958 by David Wilkerson, who got a call in his life to go to the streets of New York and work with gang-inflicted teens. And so that's where Teen Challenge comes from. And so he worked with teen gang members, and radically through God, they were able to get sober and live successful lives. And from there, it has grown to international ministry, over 1,300 campuses. And Missoula, our campus, sits in the Pacific Northwest. So we have Montana, Idaho, Washington, Oregon, and Alaska. Our women's campus is here in Missoula. And then we have our men's campus in Billings. And so there's about 14 campuses in the Pacific Northwest. I was actually just in Alaska with our Alaska campuses. Cool. We have a men's and women's up there. And the goal is full life transformation through the healing power of Jesus. And it happens to come in an addiction form, but sobriety is a part of it, but full life transformation is the ultimate goal.
Like the women's campus here in Missoula, how do these women find you or get connected with Teen Challenge when they are dealing with addiction? Is it court ordered, mandated? Is the state of Montana saying it's Teen Challenge or else? Like how do they end up in your facility?
So it's a combination of things. A lot of churches will send people our direction. We've recently stepped over into the federal system. And so we've gotten some like federal probation and the federal court system. We've started to gain some traction there. Most of our women are voluntarily there, which means they can voluntarily leave. We do have some that are court ordered, like, hey, I got in trouble. I came into Adult and Teen Challenge. We will work with their lawyers. We'll work with their probation officers. We'll work with the court system. Like I said, the ultimate goal is full life transformation. So what does that look like to get you out of here? Driver's license, social security cards, working with your PO, actually doing what you need to do to be a successful member of society. So I always ask that question, like, how did you find us? Yeah. Because the truth is we have women outside of Montana. I've had a woman from Illinois. We've had California, Wyoming, Colorado, South Dakota. Like, we are getting women from all over. And remember, Teen Challenges is international. So there are Adult and Teen Challenge campuses all over the United States, but people are coming to Missoula.
And so if they can voluntarily leave and they're not, that speaks very highly of
some do
the program.
Some do.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's hard. Seeing people walk away from
terribly
being
hard.
So close in a sense too.
It is terribly hard because you can see what they're fighting and you can see what's happening. You can see the attack coming and you're like, just sit in it, just continue. Like, I know that this is hard. I always tell the ladies, you have to feel to heal, because what they've done, what addiction, you're just numbing, right? Like, you don't want to deal with what's happened to you as a kid, what's happened to you as an adult, what you've done, all those things. You don't want to deal with that. So you numb yourself out. So they have to feel it. And sometimes that becomes just too much and they snap and walk out, and that's heartbreaking. Yeah. It's heartbreaking.
Is most of your staff that helps these women, are they paid? Are they volunteers? And what's typically the time frame that a woman that she starts with you guys till the end when they leave?
Yeah. So yes, we are a fully run, fully funded ministry. So it is an actual job for people. We do have volunteers, but our main staff is paid.
I'm sorry to interrupt. How are you funded?
Individuals, community, churches, businesses, no federal government. Okay. Yeah, we don't do anything there. And it costs about $3,500 per month per woman to go through our program. So Adult and Teen Challenge Pacific Northwest, we are a fully comprehensive program. And so we have basically 4 legs to our stool. We have the residential program, which is our center out on 7th off of Reserve Street. The women live there. They work together. They do chores. They do education, really dig into the addiction side of things. Like, what is this dealing with? We have the behavioral health services side, which is Life Renewal. That is a biblically, clinically licensed program. And so the women attend intensive outpatient therapy, group therapy, 4 days a week. And then they also do individualized treatment therapy with our therapist on site. which is what I was doing before I became the director. And then you take all of those and you take that into the public, which is our vocational training, which is our thrift store on Mullen near the jail. And the women go and they work there 3 days a week and they get to learn like, hey, I can't cuss out a customer. I can't just walk away from work. I can't decide that I don't feel good and not go to work. Like we're really peeling back all the layers of what they've learned to do to survive. But now we're trying to teach them how do you thrive. And what does that look like? And then the fourth pillar is outreach. We're very outreach driven. How can we help? How can we be in the community? What does that look like? We speak to churches a lot. And so the vocational training side of things pays for about half of their program. And then the other half, which is about $1,250, is left to myself and the community to raise and bring awareness and bring funding in.
So that's probably a big part of your job is traveling around, talking to people, spreading the word.
Yeah.
So on and so forth.
Yeah.
Do you like that? Do you enjoy that process?
Yeah, I love it. Listen, I'm back in sales.
Yeah, right. Exactly. For sure.
Cameron and I joke about that often, but it's just being, it's finding that I'm passionate about it because my mom is now sober almost 14 years.
Yes.
By the grace of God. It's amazing.
So cool.
And she's awesome. And it's I just love talking about it. But obviously we did lose my sister. And so at the height of both of their addictions, Adult and Teen Challenge sat in Missoula and we had no idea. I did not know that this was here. Even I would hear them come to church and I really didn't grasp what they were doing. And when I did take the position, God said that Missoula would be a catalyst for change. I still don't know exactly what that means, but I'm just every day putting one foot in front of the other, surrendering to him and saying, what's today look like? And I know that there is change coming. Like even if we were completely full, right? And we've been at max capacity with a wait list, which wait lists sucks when it comes to addiction, because if you have an addict that calls and says, hey, I'm ready to get help today. And you're like, cool, I don't have a bed for you.
Right.
You've probably lost that person. And the truth is if we were full, Hope Rescue Mission was full, if everyone that was out here doing this work was full, we wouldn't even be scratching the surface. And so it is my goal to just let everybody know what we're doing and that there is hope. There is hope. I don't go to the women and say, here's your bill for the month.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Jamie, I see a lot, and I mean, it's been a hot topic in Missoula recently, this homelessness issue. And seems that it's divisive in our community. People are on different sides of the fence, and there's these shelters popping up, the Johnson Street shelter not too far away. What is your stance on what's the solution to homelessness? Is it just housing, affordable housing, getting these people employed? Is it
no?
Elaborate. What are your thoughts and feelings on the homeless issue in Missoula?
I'm just ruffling feathers all morning long here today. I am just one person and I'm a flawed individual, right? Like I'm a sinful woman, and by the grace of God, I get to have a voice. And my voice says, my opinion is, we do not have a homeless issue. I mean, yes, we have people that are unhoused, right? But even if you take them and you put them in a house, will they stay? Maybe. But the percentage is no. And the reason because of it is because of addiction and mental health. We're doing things backwards. There's not enough mental health at all, not just in Montana. This is nationwide. We're just missing the mark when it comes to it. When it comes to childhood trauma, and obviously this is all like really like buzzwords right now, trauma and trigger and all those things. But the truth is like I said in the beginning, they're trying to numb something out. And so you don't just decide to become homeless. Do either of you just decide you want to live on the street? No, right? Like it's nice to be able to wake up and have a cup of coffee and be in your own house and have that space. And that's like the thing to do. Now, some people choose to like live in a van, and that's like a big thing right now, but that's not homelessness.
Right.
You drive by the Poverello in that neighborhood, or over here, just not far from here at the Johnson Street Shelter, or anywhere in Missoula, and we've got the Walking Dead, essentially. And they're just lost, hopeless people. They need to know that there's hope and they need to have help. And I think it's an addiction problem because I can't imagine what it's like to be homeless and sober. There's predators out there. Right. It's cold. Missoula is not a place to be homeless. I don't understand
why Missoula, if you're going to be homeless, there's a lot of options out there.
Listen, I was just in Alaska. We have a men's campus in Missoula and we have a women's campus in Houston, Alaska, north of Anchorage. And the amount of homelessness in Alaska blew my mind.
Crazy.
It blew my mind. It's winter up there already.
Right.
And
Like the beach in San Diego, like there's better options.
I think some people manage it better than we do.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not safe for our children, though. We've got a problem. Our parks have got needles, and I get it. They don't have a place to go, and they are people, and they want to be seen, and they want to be heard, and all of those things. But it's not a house issue.
So where do you start in fixing? I mean, is it just, it's deeper than just homeless, addiction, trauma? Is it juvenile counseling? Is that where the start is?
Because when they come to you, they're 18, like you
Or
said.
older. I mean,
Yeah.
my average age right now is probably 36.
Right.
We have 20. Our youngest is 20, and our oldest is 65.
65.
Wow.
65.
Good for that person.
Absolutely.
That's
And I was so
amazing.
excited when she came. She's only been with us almost 2 weeks now.
So cool.
And she was like, I'm just an old washed up person. I was like, nope, you are here and it is time. And so a lot of it stems from childhood stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of it stems from sexual abuse. A lot of it stems from abuse in the family. A lot of it stems from just being quiet. And I don't know now that social media is such a thing and people are more comfortable talking about it. I don't know if that's helpful or not helpful. You know, I don't know what the answer is, but I do know that what we're doing right now obviously isn't working. And I don't have the fix, right? Like Adult and Teen Challenge isn't for everybody. It's a very stringent program. You had asked how long. It's 12 to 15 months. It is a long program. It is a commitment. And usually we're not people's first stop on the treatment train. Statistically speaking, we're about number 7.
Wow.
And so we've got a gal who should be in prison. She should be in prison. And we're number 9 on her treatment stop. And if she continues on, which she will, she's doing an amazing job. She has her son back in her life. She won't see 1 day of prison, federal prison. And so it's a long program and it's hard. And we had a graduate that completed in July, and she said if it was easy, it'd be called Teen Easy, but it's a challenge. So they call it Teen Challenge.
This may not be a fair question. What is the success rate that you see at Teen Challenge internationally as a whole organization?
Yeah.
And then even here in Missoula at our local,
at
the local level.
If people complete our program, by complete, I mean 12 to 15 months, right? So they complete our program, it's a 78% success rate. It is unmatched. There's nothing else out there. And we believe because Christ is at the center.
How do you define success?
Living a life of not just sobriety, but like fully functioning in society.
Yeah.
You're holding a job. You
That's
maybe got your
phenomenal.
family back. Like I said, one of our goals is, do you have a driver's license? Can you get a driver's license? Do you have a GED? One of the things we're working on right now is a retired teacher or a volunteer that can come in and teach GED classes. Because a lot of our ladies have never graduated high school. And how cool would it be to complete treatment with your GED, your driver's license, your social security card, and really like our goal is to set them off on the right foot to be able to re-enter into society. Not just like, oh, great, I just spent a year. Now what?
Right. You're trying to give them a restart.
We're trying to give them a restart. And that's one of the things in the future that I think God has planned for Missoula Adult and Teen Challenge is what we call phase 5, sober living, the opportunity to say, you've completed the program. So they can intern. You can apply to be an intern, which is a whole other year of serving, right? Like that's totally serving. You're serving these broken women who were once you, and it's hard. And then you're learning ministry and you're learning like what we do in the nonprofit world for a year. And then you can become staff member, but maybe you're not called to that. Like not everybody's called to that. So then what? A lot of people can't go back to their communities. We have a lot of people from reservations and they don't want to go home. And so what then? Well, sober living is the next step. How do you help them transition back in where they still have that accountability and that opportunity to have that buffer?
Do you feel like, how long have you been Teen Challenge, you say? 18 months?
Yeah. I've been the director for over 8. Yeah.
Okay. Has your why changed from the time you lost your sister getting into the life insurance to now what you're doing at Teen Challenge? Has your why changed it through that life journey?
Well, my why for while I was with life insurance was your family deserves better. Like if something were to happen to you, and nobody wants to say the ifs, but it could be when, right? Like we're all going to pass away. And I would say it's still the same thing. Our family members deserve this. They don't have to suffer. Like my mom suffered for 27 years. You don't have to do that. Like there is hope. And every single day I get to help put hope within reach. And what that means is I'm going to put it out there, but you have to grab it.
Were you like, when you were in high school, were you aware that your mom was struggling and suffering? Did you have any clue what was going on inside the household, or were you oblivious?
Oh, my parents divorced when I was 2. And it was not just my household. It was the town.
It was normal.
That knew. No. It was very, yes, it was hard to miss.
So the town knew that your mom was in drug use and all of that stuff. Okay.
Yeah. My mom was addicted to alcohol. My sister was addicted to drugs, and Celi's small.
Yeah.
And so I became addicted to being perfect, which is super unhealthy too. Like I was involved in everything and did what I needed to do and got married young and then ultimately got divorced. And but I've never went that road. And I have to say it's only by the grace of God that I didn't, because I surely should have.
So before we get into our Blazing 5, do we have is that what they're called?
I'm going to call them whatever you want.
Okay, that's what I'm going to call them today.
I'm not ready for them. I'm not ready.
She's stressing out. We're talking about
I gave you the heads
drugs and death and just the hardship of life and counseling.
Nervous.
And she's afraid for the rapid 5
I am
questions.
afraid.
Or the Blazing 5. Blazing, whatever you want.
I think that's called
I'll let you go first, because I have a question for Jamie too. So go ahead.
What is this process of being able to help women through their journey done for you? I mean, what has the healing been in your own life? Like, where are you at on all of that with your sister, with your mom, with your divorce, where do you stand today? And then what does that process look like for you?
Healing. I don't think you ever fully healed, but grief is an interesting thing, right? Like there's just not a way to do it. I worked with Tamarack Grief Resource for a long time. I was on their board and they were doing amazing things. And it's just kind of, you just got to walk through it. You just got to allow yourself to feel it and then move through it. And so there's days that I really miss my sister. And then there's days where she's always a constant thought. My mom and I have an amazing relationship. She's one of my best friends.
Awesome.
And I'm super happy for that, because that wouldn't have been the case. She's in my kids' life and it's great. And, I was meant to walk forward, and I don't regret anything in my life because it has brought me to where I am today. So, it is the most rewarding job I think I've ever done. You get to watch these broken women come in, broken on death's door. And there's no life in their eyes. There's no hope. There's no joy. They look gray, like they're about ready to be done. And in about 2 to 3 weeks, life comes back. Their faces have color. They're operating. They're speaking to you. And they're the sweetest women. And they just need a chance. They just need to know that there's hope. And that's what we get to do every day.
Stephen, did you just hear Jamie say she doesn't regret anything in her life? Like, I'm over here now. I'm like, I have so many regrets, things that I wish would have gone different. And that's very impressive. And I'm challenged.
I don't know if I could have always said that, but
that's impressive.
God has healed a lot of things, and I've not done things right. And I've not always been super kind in my life, but I don't regret those moments because I'm here today. Like the butterfly effect, right? Like we've all seen that movie. Like, can you imagine one change?
Right. I mean, I own my past. I own the decisions and how I got to where I am. But to say I live with no regrets that's mature and impressive.
Yeah.
I admire that.
And I love that saying, and I know it's overused, but your pain becomes your platform. And that's really what I see in your life. You've taken all the things that were meant to destroy you, and you've let your faith and your relationship with Jesus transform them to be healing for other people's lives. It's inspiring to me.
Thanks.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I get to do it every day.
That's awesome.
Some days are harder than others to walk in that.
Before we get into the Fast Five, I'd call it a different name.
That's fine.
I think we're on to like number 5 different names or something.
If people want to get more information about Adult and Teen Challenge, talk to you, talk to somebody, they have a a family member that's really struggling, what's the first step?
Call us, 406-543-1912. Call. I will help you. I'll talk through it. I'll pray with you. We do have an event coming up. It's our Night of Hope Gala. It's October 19th. We need people to come around and fill that room and support these women, because a lot of people ask, like, who's your keynote speaker? And the women. They are the keynote speaker. It is not about anybody else that I could bring in. It is about them and what they're doing and how Jesus is changing their lives and how about they're walking through. So you'll hear somebody that's really new in our program, somebody that's about halfway through, and somebody that's completed our program. You'll get to see a completion happen this year, which is super cool how that lined out. And you're going to get to hear like true testimonies. The one thing I love about our program, I always invite people out to our campus. Y'all are welcome to come out anytime and see it. People that donate and actually support Adult and Teen Challenge, you can see what your money's doing. They're there. You can see the campus. You can see the women. You can see our vans. You can hear my dreams to expand and add more. Like, it's here in Missoula. There's hope in Missoula, and people don't know.
Let's go to our quick 5 questions, whatever we're going to call them now. And then I want to come back and just wrap up with what's coming next for Teen Challenge and talk more about your event in October and how people can get involved. So Jamie, what is your favorite coffee shop in Missoula?
Blackfoot River Coffee Company.
Ooh.
It's in Bonner.
Yeah. We have not had that answer.
No.
And then
ever.
Clark.
And is Bonner, is that in Missoula? Are we accepting that answer as favorite coffee shop in Missoula?
I live in Bonner and my address is Missoula.
Okay, we'll give it to you.
Do you want me to give you a Missoula one?
Calm down. Okay, you're good. Wow,
I can give you a Missoula one inside the city limits of Missoula.
No, you're good.
Oh,
you
no.
You got it.
Perfect.
You got it.
What's your favorite restaurant? You can't say somewhere in Sealy.
Nah, that's fine. I won't say anything in Sealy.
What was that burger place in Sealy?
Bay Burgers.
Was it Bay Burgers? But there was one like right on the highway, or like a little like cafe restaurant.
Pops.
I've been at Pops a few times. Is Pops still there?
I think so.
I haven't been up to Sealy for
years. Heavens. Favorite restaurant. 5 on Black.
Perfect.
Good call. What zip code do you live in? You already answered this technically.
802.
59802.
What's the weirdest thing about Missoula to you?
The weirdest thing about Missoula? Golly, it's been home for so long. It's hard to even think about it. It is weird. The streets.
Yeah.
The streets are wild. Like, I never really think about them until you go to another city and it's really lined out very well. And we, slant streets versus not streets. And y'all remember Malfunction Junction? Like, that was nuts.
Yeah. But I think it might have been better the way it used to be than
Absolutely.
all these now, like,
I get lost in which direction.
And you can't turn and roundabouts and through neighborhoods.
Yes.
It's crazy.
The streets. I'm going to go with the streets.
That's great. I feel like our city planning or whoever's involved with streets was playing like pickup sticks, and they just dropped the sticks and were like, "Oh,
that looks good.
That looks good. That'll be the streets and infrastructure in Missoula."
I heard there was a story about 2 brothers that got in a fight, which is totally not true. And one wanted them this way and one wanted them this way. I have no idea. It's not true. I'm sure it's not. Yeah.
Their names are Higgins and Stevens.
Yeah.
Jamie, what do you love the most about Missoula? Why do you call Missoula home?
Call Missoula home because it still feels safe. I love Missoula. It's still that small town feel. It's like a big small town. It's not big, but it's beautiful. And I still feel like my kids are somewhat safe, especially where we live. I don't know if I would say that about all parts of Missoula, but I still love the heartbeat of Missoula.
What's next for Teen Challenge? What's coming up in the future?
Yeah. Well, like I said, we have our Night of Hope Gala, which is October 19th at the Hilton Garden Inn. Starts at 5:30. $500 a table for 8. $65 an individual ticket. We need silent auction items. We've got our Christmas tree lot coming up, Trees for Hope, which happens in Christian Life Center's parking lot. November to Christmas, that happens. But besides that, I think there's big things that are coming. We had a family come alongside of us. We've got wooden bunk beds, and they came alongside. We really want to do metal because bed bugs can be notorious. And so we're getting rid of the wooden bunk beds, and we're going metal. And we have a family that came alongside of us. We had a couple individuals that, out of the kindness of their heart, bought brand new mattresses and sheets and mattress pads and mattress protectors and pillows for the women. That actually gets delivered next Saturday. And so the women are going to have brand new beds.
That's awesome.
We're working with a couple churches and entities, if you know anybody, to pull up the carpet and lay down laminate waterproof flooring for the women and really paint their rooms and make them nice. I'm working with IMEG Engineering. We're doing a feasibility study to see if our property can withstand an addition. My goal, my dream is to blow out the backside of the building and add more classroom space. And then our offices are actual rooms because it used to be a nursing home. And I want to add 10 more women to our program, which would put us at 26. And we're also looking at the old Adam and Eve building on Broadway.
Yeah.
Our thrift store is on Mullen, and Dusty, our manager, does an amazing job there. And we're busting at the seams. We need more space. So we've looked at the Adam and Eve building on Broadway to take that over. And how cool, like Adam and Eve biblical, but at Adam and Eve of what it was to what it could be restored into, like light in the darkness, right? Like how cool would that be? And then we'd bring our counseling services community facing to be able to serve not just our population, but the population that needs that counseling, which Medicaid pays for, which would be super cool. We need a box truck. We need a box truck for our thrift store to be able to pick up deliveries. Like, hey, you got a couch and you want to deliver, but you can't do it. We could come pick it up. And our box truck, we no longer have one. So if you know anybody that has a box truck, we need one. It's obviously all tax deduction. We're a 501c3, but really we just need people that are willing to hear about it. Come see it. Come meet the women. Come to the Night of Hope. And like, I want there to be standing room only. I want those women to feel so loved and supported by the Missoula community that they got no desire to go back to their old life. There's just no hope there.
That's awesome. That's October 19th.
Yeah.
Is that a Thursday night?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's awesome. We'll be sure to put in, Nick, make sure in the notes of this episode, we've got links and all that information. Yeah, Jamie, it's been phenomenal. I'm challenged by you. I'm checking my calendar, see if I'm available the night of the 19th, just because the difference you're making in the community is
thanks.
Incredible. And I've got kids in junior high and early high school, and
that's the scary
thing. The things they're hearing and seeing are so beyond
what we saw,
what I saw,
and we saw
in college. We
saw drug. I mean, I saw drug use. I can't speak for you guys, but I saw drug use, and our kids, it's like candy. Yeah. And it's happening in these, and the thing is that these kids don't know what's happening. Vaping is cool. No, it's not. It's killing you. Like, and then it leads to the next thing, and then it leads to the next thing. And we have a problem. It's a problem.
That blows me away. The amount of vaping I see
in schools,
and as soon as the bell rings and in the park, like it's unbelievable.
It's because they want to be, these kids are just looking for something to belong to. You want to talk about what the problem is? It's identity. Yeah. Everyone's trying to figure out their identity, and because if they don't know Jesus, then they don't know their identity.
That's right.
If you could give a piece of advice to parents of young children to help guide, steer, prevent from what could be, what would that piece of advice be?
Well, you know that I worked with the Lifeguard Group, which is the anti-human trafficking organization as well. Get in your children's stuff. They should not have privacy. Your kids have no need to be private. Get in their stuff. Like the things that we saw, especially, I mean, I'll get on a soapbox here in a second, but I had to step off of that for a while. And the Lifeguard Group, the whole culture, they're doing an amazing thing. And human trafficking is here, and it ties into all the rest of the stuff. But your social media, that your kids is on social media, and it's I mean, it's just there. Our kids are on it, right? It's just the thing. Cell phones, I can't imagine not being able to get a hold of Harper if she's at a sleepover. Like, it stresses me out. But that is my phone, and I will be in it. So my biggest advice for parents is get in your kids' stuff. Don't let them not tell you what's going on. Like, sit with them, listen to them. Don't chastise them. Like, just hear them out, because they're struggling and they're just trying to find who they are and where they belong. And if we're not careful, they're gonna end up in the crowd and then potentially end up in my program.
Thank you. Seriously, thank you for all that you're doing. And I love your fire and passion. And you are exactly the type of person in Missoula that we're just so grateful to have.
Thank you for having me.
Huge difference.
I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Thanks,
well,
Jamie.